Hey guys, Negative9 here. How is it going, everybody? And welcome to another video. This is part 2 of my complete new player's guide to Guild Wars 2 for 2017. And we have a lot of things to cover. This episode's going to be a little bit more miscellaneous. There's going to be a lot of sort of random things thrown in here, but a lot of good tips if you're in the middle of the leveling process or things like that. But just before we start, I just wanted to advertise the guild that we created again. So last video I mentioned that maybe it'd be a cool idea to create a guild for new players or old players who just need some people to play with, maybe who haven't been active in a while or just coming back to the game. So we did create that guild, and let me just pull it up here. The Tyrian Service Syndicate. I think we're sitting at like 32 members, but I have like a proper like 20 more that have been invited that are pending, and new invites keep flooding in. So we're growing pretty fast. So if you want like a little community based around this channel to join for new players and returning players and even existing players, feel free to join too, where we just kind of help each other out and chill. We created the guild yesterday, and we just sort of all chilled in Kessex Hills and stuff for a little bit, helped some people level, and it was a good time. So if you want to join us, we are NA, so if you are EU, you can join, but you would not be able to play with the people on NA, but there are a couple people from EU in the guild already, so hopefully it'll be a good way to find other players to play with maybe that are on EU. So feel free to join even if you're on EU. Yeah, so it's a good time if you want to join. Leave a comment below with your account name. Your account name should look something like this. Mine is Negative9.7349. So leave your account name below, or I think we've reached the invite limit, the pending invite limit. So if for some reason your invitation got canceled and I said I added you, but then you don't have an invitation, message me in game and I'll add you right away, because I don't want people who are ready to join, who are already logged on, to have to wait to join because I'm waiting for other people to accept their invites. So just to speed it up and let everyone get in as fast as possible, if for some reason you don't have an invite when you log in, just message me and I'll be sure to add you. So thanks for that. Thanks for making that a reality. I'm glad we did that. I'm surprised I didn't think of something like that sooner, so that's a good time if you're interested. Now on to the video. Let's see, what's the first thing we should talk about? There's lots of things to talk about in this episode, but I think I'm going to start with the personal story. So at level 10, once you get to level 10, you should get your first personal story mission unlocked. So if I go on my map here, you'll see this big green dot on your map. That is a personal story mission. Now I just auto-leveled this guy basically with a scroll that automatically levels him to 20, so I could show you this stuff. So this is my first personal story mission. So if I went over there and went to it, I could start doing the personal story, and you'll get new personal story missions every 10 levels, I believe. Maybe less at the beginning, I'm not sure. So that's just like a continuous little storyline to do. It'll give you some unique rewards, and it's pretty fun to do in my opinion. And then that will of course turn into the living story and stuff, which is how ArenaNet adds new story into the game. It's their regular updates in which they add all sorts of new features and mechanics, and that's the living story. So that will sort of morph into that after you get through the personal story and then the expansion. So that's probably a useful thing to know. Now let me go into my training. So last time I mentioned hero points, but you can't use hero points until you get to level 11. So after you've completed all the hero points that you find around the world, and you get to level 11, such as this one here that I did on the last video, you can go into your hero tab by pressing H, go down to training, and then you can start adding these skills and traits to your bar. So these are skills that will go on the right side of your bar, the skill part, this whole tab, skills. So each one of these is different skills that you can add to the right side of your bar, and then as you can see, if you press the little up arrow, you can see all the abilities that you can unlock. So that's all of these. And then there's also specializations, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. Alright, so say I wanted to add Signet of Vampirism. I would click train, it would spend 2 of my hero points, click yes, and then I go down here, and alright, so I got a little confused there because I've not done this since they updated it. Okay, so when you go down here and you say you want the signets, I think you have to unlock all of the signets before you can use them. So I tried to just unlock one, and then it didn't show up in my bar, so I was very confused. So if you want to start using signets, you have to save up enough to use the whole skill line, which should have been 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 10, yeah. So about 10, and then you can have all the signets, and then you can start adding these to your bar. So I'm going to do the same for, let's do wells. I don't think I can go all the way, but I'll just do it to show you. So 2, there. Now let's see if these are added. So those are added. Okay, so maybe it's past 2 or something. I don't know the exact rules of how it works anymore. But basically, once you start spending hero points, you'll start to get abilities to put on the right side of your bar. And then, of course, when you get to level 30, I believe, I could be wrong, this could have changed, you'll get your elite skill. And that's a really cool, powerful ability that you can use, and it's unique to your class. So those are the abilities. Now let me talk about the specializations that I mentioned earlier. So specializations can be a little bit confusing. They're basically your traits. So if I go to the build tab, these are my specializations. These are unlocked at different levels. So the first one is unlocked at level 21, and the second one 45, and the third one is 71. So before I do this, I'm just going to hop onto another character real quick that has those unlocked so I can show you properly. Alright, so I am back here on my Chronomancer, which is the elite specialization for the Mesmer, but I'll get into that later. So these are the specializations. These are the standard specializations here. And basically, by spending more skill points, you can start adding these things. So, and these will add as you sort of buy them with your skill points. So look here, I just get more traits. So this is illusion of vulnerability, inflict vulnerability when you interrupt a foe. And then all of these are just similar traits, and they each have sort of different categories in here. And then you can choose from these to make a build. And so these will basically make you do different things. So the inspiration specialization gives you power cleanse. So you can cleanse conditions from you, something I'll get into in a second. And then your phantasms have increased health and respawn retaliation, grant distortion to nearby allies whenever you give yourself distortion. So all these little buffs basically and little added bonuses come through these specializations. Now the bottom one here is something that was added in Heart of Thorns. So you won't have these, I mean you will have this bar here, but you won't have elite specializations until you buy Heart of Thorns. Elite specializations are basically super duper specializations. They're these normal specializations but on steroids. So these will completely change the gameplay of your class, or that's the idea behind them at least. And they'll give you a new weapon to use. So with Heart of Thorns, the Mesmer got a shield. So normal Mesmers that don't have Heart of Thorns and don't have the elite specialization of the Chronomancer cannot wield a shield, and they can't use the abilities that come with it. In addition to having a new weapon and the new abilities, we do have new passives, new bonus effects, and new skills. The Chronomancer got wells, which were initially in the base game something that only necromancers can use, but in the expansion Chronomancers got wells. So these are all wells that the Chronomancer can use now that the standard class can't use unless you have Heart of Thorns and have unlocked the elite specialization. So that is sort of specializations and all that cool stuff, and hero points and stuff. So without Heart of Thorns, you'll be able to slowly unlock these, but you just won't get the elite specialization. So these are all your specializations here, core and elite specializations it says. So all of these are the core specializations except for the Chronomancer here. So I hope I explained that correctly, but that's not something, the elite specialization is not something you'll really have to worry about until you get to level 80 if you've bought Heart of Thorns. So that's that. So as you're leveling, I'm going to talk about now some sort of different things that you can do to make the leveling process a little bit more fun or a little bit faster depending on which one you choose. So at level 30 you'll be able to go into your first dungeon, and I'm standing here at the first dungeon. It is the Ascalonian Catacombs, and I can show you on the map there. We zoom out, it's in the Plains of Ashford, so you will have to make your way here if you want to do the dungeon. But if you want to do the dungeon, you do make your way here, and you want to do the dungeon, and you're looking for a group. You don't have to just sort of shout for people to join your group. You can go up here to your contacts and looking for group tab by pressing Y. And once you're at this tab, you can go to the second little bar here, click looking for group, go to Dungeons, and then click the very first one, Ascalonian Catacombs, and you can try to find people that will accept you into their group. So as you can see here, this person listed Explore. So in Guild Wars 2, dungeons have sort of two modes. And so the first time you do a dungeon, you have to do the story mode, which is talking about exactly what it sounds like, the story of the dungeon. And you do the dungeon with some characters that are related to the main storyline. Once you do that, then you can unlock the explorable mode, where it's like a enhanced dungeon in a way. So you get to go back in, and you can choose from 3 paths that basically change up the dungeon a bit. So it's basically a changed up dungeon. It's a little bit more difficult. So yeah, but you can't do it until you've done the story mode. So if no one is doing the story mode and you haven't done the dungeon before, just go in here, advertise group, and put story mode, and you'll slowly get people being added to your group, and then you can go ahead and do the dungeon. And you can do this same thing for every dungeon. So every dungeon has an explorable mode and a story mode. So you go to dungeons, and you can see these are all the dungeons in the game. And this one's unlocked at level 40, level 50, level 60, level 70, level 76, 78, and then 80. So if you want to start doing dungeons, if you think dungeons are fun to do and they're easier than just plain old leveling, go ahead and do dungeons. And you can probably do dungeons all the way up to level 80 if you want to. So that's dungeons. Now I'm going to go into some other things. I'll be right back. I'm going to go log out and go on to another character so I can show you some other alternate ways to level. Alright, so another thing you can do to level is you can actually do PvP. So if you want to try to do PvP, and you have to go to the PvP lobby. Now the interesting thing about PvP is that when you go into the PvP lobby, no matter what level you are, it'll automatically set you at level 80. So it will automatically let you unlock all your abilities and stuff, obviously temporarily, within the PvP lobby. And as soon as you leave, obviously you'll be scaled back down to whatever level you were. But if you want to test out a class, maybe if you created a character and you don't know if you like how they're going to play, like once you get to level 80, you can go ahead and go into the PvP lobby by going up here to the cross swords and click Enter PvP Lobby. Alright, so once we're in here, as you can see, all my bars are now unlocked. So I can select an elite skill, even though I couldn't before because I wasn't high enough level. So now I can sort of test out all my abilities. So let's choose an elite skill and let's test it out. I like this one because it's cool looking. Boom. All of a sudden I'm a huge beast, because this is your elite skill, and elite skills are supposed to be epic. Necromancer asked, actually, I think this is probably the coolest elite skill. I've sort of almost forgot about how cool it was when you first start playing. But yeah, it's a pretty beast elite skill. You're pretty powerful with that. So now that we're in the PvP lobby and my character has seemingly disappeared from existence for some reason. I don't know where he's at. My character's gone. What the heck? Oh, there he is. Okay, he's back. Okay, so now that we're here, I might as well talk about Boons and Conditions. These are a combat mechanic in Guild Wars 2 that are basically buffs and debuffs. So if you're familiar with other MMOs, this will probably be pretty familiar to you. It's probably not something you'll wonder about too much. But if you're brand new to MMOs, it will be. So let's say I have this ability, Mark of Blood, here on my staff. And as you can see, it shows you some effects underneath the description. And underneath there, you can see it says regen, and you can see it says bleeding. So regen, when I cast this, it regenerates my health by 780 a second, I think? Or maybe it's overall 780 over 6 seconds. I'm not quite sure. But basically, it'll regenerate my health when I cast this. So that would be a boon. So something helpful that is passively sort of put on you through your abilities. Bleeding would be a condition. So when I cast this on this little golem here, you can see it has a little bleeding stack, and it's slowly losing damage over time. That's a condition. Other conditions include like burning, fear, all sorts of stuff. So basically anything that shows up on a little red circle or square icon there would be a condition. So as you can see, this Chillblains mark has chilled and poison. So if I cast this on the golem and the other ability, you can see I've added 3 conditions to this guy. So he's slowly losing health over time from 3 conditions. Same thing applies to me. If I cast this ability, I'll be regenerating health even though I already have full health. So you can't see it there, but I would be regenerating health. So that's how conditions and boons work. Just wanted to explain that in case new players didn't really know how those worked. Conditions are really fun. Like, to kill people sort of like passively, that's how I play on my Guardian. I play a Burn Guardian. So basically on my Guardian in PvP, someone will run at me and I'll just push all my abilities that basically catch people on fire. And then I'll just bunker down and like use my invincibility elite skill for 10 seconds and just sit there and watch them die. Unless you have a condition cleanser. So there are abilities that you can put on the right side of your bar that will cleanse conditions. Necromancers are pretty unique because sometimes having conditions on you can actually be good because you can transfer them straight to your opponent. So some necromancers play in sort of a warlock style where by hurting yourself and then transferring them to another person, you can almost like be super powerful by taking the conditions that were put on you by yourself or other people and throwing them at your opponent and like killing them really fast. So if I can find that ability, that'd be cool. But yeah, there's some abilities for Necromancer that will put conditions on you on purpose. So it's a little bit different with Necromancer, but conditions are a really fun thing to play around with. Boons as well. Guardians have a lot of boons that they can cast on other people, so that's a lot of fun to mess around with too. So the other cool thing about PvP is that you can essentially level your character through just playing PvP. Now let me explain how to do that. So as you play PvP matches, you can see if you go up here, you can play an unranked or ranked, and as you compete in PvP matches, you will slowly get things from the rewards called Tomes of Knowledge. Now Tomes of Knowledge will automatically grant you 1 level for your character if you use them in outside of the PvP realm. So if you try to use these in the PvP realm, I believe they don't work. I think I just wasted that. So you want to use them when you want to go up here and exit PvP lobby and then use those so they will be credited to your character's actual level. Otherwise it'll just either, I thought it might use it for PvP levels, but I don't think it does. So yeah, it'll just completely waste it if you try to use it in PvP or World versus World for that matter. So PvP is a good way to level up if you actually enjoy PvP a lot. It's probably slower than, actually I have no idea. It depends how fast you level. It's slower or faster, depending just on how much you play, I guess, than normal leveling. So if PvP is just really enjoyable to you and you don't want to level normally, you can totally just level through PvP. Just make sure you leave the PvP lobby when you want to use your Tomes of Knowledge. Same for World vs. World. I believe you can get them in World vs. World too, but I think it is a lot slower to get them in World vs. World. But like I said, if you just really enjoy playing World vs. World and don't want to go back and level normally, you can totally do that if you're willing to spend enough time. So those are kind of 2 alternate ways to level. Now, there is one more way to level that is potentially faster, but it costs gold. So that's the key with this one. So I'm going to hop over to Lion's Arch and I'm going to explain sort of what this last form of like alternate leveling is. So I thought I'd hop over onto my character that I actually used for this video to do this. So crafting in Guild Wars 2 is a really great way to level up. It just costs a lot of money if you want to do it quickly. So what I would recommend to new players is start gathering materials as you level and then try to craft sort of and level at the same time. But for people who have the gold and want to do it this way, let me show you how to do it. So what I'm going to do is you can actually look up guides for how to craft your way, level through crafting for each profession. I'm going to use armor smithing, I think. But basically what you'll have to do every time is you'll have to buy the material. So real quick, I'm going to buy some copper ore from the trading post. So I'm going to go ahead over here, see how much copper ore is, and I'm going to get, oh shoot, 50 copper ore. Oops, not 00, 50. Alright, so buy instantly. And then I'm also going to get some jute scraps. Not jute patch. Jute scraps. And I'm going to get 50 again. this is just to show you how you get experience through crafting. Alright, so now I have to go pick this up and then find the armor smithing guy. And that may be tough because I hardly ever hang out in Holbrook, which is the Norn city. So I'm going to cut here and I will see you guys in a second. So I've picked up my supplies and I've headed to the sort of the crafting zone of Holbrook. Every major city will have a crafting area. I know I didn't have these markers turned on in my last sort of clip here. For some reason I only had world completion turned on, so you can just sort of check what you see on the map. That's because I was doing world completion a while ago and I guess I never turned it back on. So you can see all the useful stuff in here. So as you can see, the armor smithing station is right here, so I'm going to go to it. And I'm going to get this lady to teach me armor smithing. Please teach me to be an armor smith. Sweet. Alright, so she'll teach you about it through text if you want to sort of read, but I don't want to. So I'm going to... Actually, I don't need to buy any supplies, I don't think. But she'll buy you some supplies and some recipes. But let me show you how the crafting works. So as you can see, I have all these things that I can make, and I'll tell you the recipes for them. But I also have this bolt of jute that I've already bought, so I'm going to go ahead and craft all 26 of these. And as you can see, my experience bar is actually going up here. So as I create these, I'm actually gaining experience. Now if you use a guide, you'll be able to be really good about what you can make. You'll be able to be very efficient, so you get lots of experience for the least amount of things. So let me craft this thing and see how much experience I get. So that's a decent amount. A little bit more. And then they slowly get less and less as you make more and more of them. So eventually those will all turn like gray because you've done them so much. But that was a very small example. You can do more that will give you much more experience, especially if you use some sort of guide online. Another thing is that you can discover things. So there's more recipes that they don't tell you about on here, so that you can sort of try to figure out for yourself or look up online. And when you discover a recipe, that will give you a heck of a lot of experience. So usually when you're using a guide, they'll have you discover a lot of stuff because it gives some of the most experience, I think. So that's how to craft to level up in Guild Wars 2. You can do that with all the crafting professions. If I remember correctly, the best one to do for leveling, I think, is cooking, but it's also one of the least useful in my opinion. I mean, if you're into the food buffs and stuff and you don't feel like buying them off the trading post, feel free to do that, I guess, but I prefer weaponsmithing and armor smithing because that's what you can use to make ascended weapons and legendary weapons and ascended armor and stuff later on when you get to level 80. So, but that will be in the next video. The next video will be about what to do at level 80. I know a lot of people get lost once they get to level 80. For a long time I was lost too, to be completely honest. When I first started playing and first got to level 80, I was completely confused at what to do at level 80, what there is to do at level 80, and how you'd go about doing it. So next video, the last part of this complete new player's guide, will be about what to do once you get to level 80. So I hope this helped you. I hope I didn't miss too much stuff again. I covered quite a broad range of stuff. Obviously, if there's more tips and stuff that you guys have for new players, feel free to leave them in the comments, because it is a like complete new player's guide because I cover a lot of stuff, but realistically you can never cover everything, especially with an MMO. So if you guys have any suggestions or things that you think I should mention in a later video or in the comments below, feel free to post. Just another reminder about the guild. If you want to join a guild for new and existing players that just want to hang out and chill and sort of help each other out, feel free to join the guild. Message me in game at -9.7349 and I will go ahead and add you to the guild. We're working on our guild hall today, I think. We're going to try to unlock that. So if you don't know, guild halls are a cool thing that you can unlock once you do some events where you can have this huge, vast, open, like, big space to build and to sort of hang out. And it's a pretty cool guild. There's 2 guild halls in the game right now. One of them is like called the Lost Precipice. It's like a desert ruin sort of one, and then there's the Gilded Hollow, which is an underground like golden cave basically. It's really cool. So if you guys want to be a part of that, you can do that. Even if you don't have Heart of Thorns, you can go to the guild hall at least. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I probably rambled on long enough. I hope I covered enough stuff. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.